I know. Hello, David.
On.
Let's do some talks on God.
Nice.
You were talking the other day um, about how being in a neutral place can be dangerous. And to give some context for you, because this was a conversation we had a while ago, we were talking about the path of devotion versus the path of wisdom, I believe, and how sometimes people uh, can not necessarily use the path of devotion, which is safer, easier, more pleasant, just
Yeah.
kind of a thing, as opposed to going straight into uh, reality, following the eye kind of thing, and into awareness, pure awareness, the whole non-strict, non-dual kind of path. What did you mean? If you recall that, what did you mean by how it can be dangerous to be in a completely neutral place? Do you recall?
Well, um, I remember my teacher basically said there's only basically two paths. There's the path of wisdom and the path of devotion. It's
Mhm.
also known as the path of the baby kitten and the path of the baby monkey. And the path of the baby monkey climbs on mom's back and holds on for dear life as she swings through the trees. And
Yeah.
if he lets go, he could fall to his death.
Mhm.
On the other hand, the path of the baby kitten is mama grabs the kitten by the back of the neck and carries the kitten wherever it needs to go and protects the kitten while she's carrying him. So Baba says path of devotion, the path of the baby kitten is far safer and a more sure path. So it's like, okay, yeah, I buy that. But what's really interesting is later on is when I was studying Law of One, they said basically there's two paths. There's the right-hand path and the left-hand path. So one day it struck me that, holy crap, I think the path of wisdom, devoid of love, is the left-hand path. Because it's another word of path of wisdom is basically path of understanding the power of the creator. So I think just pursuing wisdom devoid of love can easily turn into the left-hand path, right?
Mhm.
Because as you begin to understand how things work and who you are, the movement of energy and all that, and the power of God, uh, I think it's very easy to fall into the looking, starting to feel superior to everyone else. I mean, it's like in Star Wars, the the dark side.
Mhm.
And as you develop more power and ability to manipulate people, I think it's very easy to feel like I know way better than everybody else.
Mhm.
I will bend you to my will, and it's for your best interest anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, says me.
Yeah. So uh that's kind of what I've come to believe that 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 the path of wisdom devoid of love can get you in a lot of trouble. And this fits right into the path of the baby monkey, that one slip, and you can fall a long way. Whereas if it's a path of devotion, even as you build power and the ability to manipulate people and events, you don't do it out of compassion and respect for the sovereignty of other human beings, right? So what I've noticed is those that have developing mastery on the right-hand path, they use the lightest of touches on your free will. Whereas those that are developing along the left-hand path, they consider it their right to bend your will to whatever they think is best for them and you.
Mm.
Yeah. So what's interesting is on the law of one, they talk about that the left-hand path, it's an authentic path, respected by the creator. But when you hit like seventh density, you come to a dead stop. You cannot progress towards merging with the creator because you have to realize it's basically love of self, right? Love of service to self, love of self. And at that point, in order to proceed and merge with the creator, you have to realize everything is self. So now that love and devotion you've developed towards your own self, you now have to extend it to all your other selves. And at that point, they flip their polarity and they're able to merge into the creator. So what Baba says is, he said, the path of wisdom in the final stage has to merge into the path of devotion. But he said also the path of devotion has to merge into the path of wisdom in the final stage. So that's when it hit me like, holy crap, I think he's talking the path of wisdom, devoid of love, I think is the left-hand path.
Mm. Yeah, that's so very interesting too, because even the right and left hand, in the law of one, they would always call the entities trying to kill everybody their left-handed friends, the left-hand path friends.
I don't know, but I think from that level of advancement, you realize there's no killing anybody. Everybody's
Right. Well, yeah, from the perspective of
yeah.
our current,
So,
uh,
but to bring your physical form to an end,
it's
in
it's
order
fine.
to,
It's
it's
just your
fine.
physical body. It's not
Fine,
you.
you're an
Really.
immortal. What are you worried about? What's
Seems
the
like I'm
big
dying.
deal? Don't take it so personally.
That's right.
It's
That's right.
it's for the good of everyone anyway, because you're interfering with our ability to control everyone and everything and bend everybody's will. You are interfering with that. Therefore, yeah, you're bringing it on yourself, and you don't really die anyway. So what's the big deal?
No one dies.
No one
That's right.
dies,
Like
right? So I mean,
Krishna and
this is
Arjuna.
yeah, this is the danger, I think, of wisdom without love. It's like, what's the problem? You know,
Right.
problem got kill a couple billion people. Well, you don't really die. Quit being a big baby.
That's right.
Just transmute your form.
Yeah.
So we're better off running everything because we're way wiser than the rest of you morons. One of the things in the law of one. So we're talking over the head of a lot of people who haven't read law of one, but one of the things in law of one, they asked him, well, who was an example of those graduated left-hand path on this earth? And one of the ones he said was Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan killed millions and millions, but yet brought tremendous order to the Mongolian Empire and all the lands they conquered. As long as you are doing what we say to do, your life is better than it used to be.
Yeah. Quality of life actually got better for more people.
Quality of life got better, but they had no free will.
Yeah.
Had no free will. So I mean, that's a
Just
perfect example
look
of
past
the
all the raping and murdering and
yeah, right,
dominating.
right.
On the whole, it was really lovely.
Yeah. So we know best, and just don't try to buck our system, or we'll not only kill you, we'll kill you ruthlessly, probably torture you in order to
Yeah.
give an example to everybody else so we can
That's
maintain order.
that sounds like some worldwide type forums that we have going on right now.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. It's the battle of the left-hand path versus the right-hand path right now.
Hmm.
I mean, once you begin to understand that, then you can take a look at your own self and just say, well, how much do I browbeat people to have it my way? Right? So for a lot of us, we're still choosing. Third density is the choice between left-hand path and right-hand path.
Mm-hmm.
So most the majority of the population is kind of a mixture,
Right.
right? You have some love
Lukewarm.
service to others, but there's times when you want it your way and you're going to just bend everybody's will to the best of your ability to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, it's like, okay, well, you haven't really decided which way you want to go. You're still mucking
Right.
around with left hand, right hand path.
Choose for yourself who you will serve. And the thing that's interesting is that it's not a bad choice either way, but give yourself, like Jesus said, you are neither hot nor cold. You are lukewarm, and so I'll vomit you out of my mouth.
Right. That's
And what if
exactly.
that's not a judgment, but it's just like, hey, that's the path requires a choice of, are
Well,
you
well,
going
and
to
I think the polarity. One of the things my teacher said, um, basically, he said, expansion is my life, and it's like, okay, but I realized that that's really the. If we take the judgmental terms, those of us that are working on the right hand path, we say, well, we're the good people.
Mm,
And those on the left hand path, we say, oh, they're the evil people.
mm,
Right?
mm,
So we got a little bit of a bias there. But the
right?
people on the left hand path go, we're the ones that are smart. You on the right hand path are a bunch of suckers. You're a bunch of
Bunch
morons.
of dumb softies.
Yeah, dumb softies, right? So taking the judgment out of your position, and if you want to look at it in terms of consciousness, then I think you could say it's the path of expanding your consciousness to include all others, or contracting your consciousness to focus primarily on your point of consciousness. So you could say one's the path of expansion and the other is the path of contraction, right? So it's like when you do something loving and kind with no attachment to any reward or praise, you feel that expansion. I think that expansion, part of the way we experience that expansion is the feeling we call love,
Mm,
right? Whereas that contraction is focusing your will and your energy into yourself to create changes outside of yourself.
mm,
So that's taking the judgmental terms out. I think it's expansion versus contraction. But one of the things that my teacher said, he says, God is bigger than the biggest and smaller than the smallest. So whether you're experiencing God as you expand outward, or you're experiencing God as you contract inward, it's like the atom. We when you expand outward, you see universes, right? Galaxies. If you contract inwards, there's universes and galaxies within the atom itself. We haven't reached the end of the atom. I don't think there is an end, right? So God exists infinitely in the smallest, most contracted, and God exists in the most expanded. The
mm,
only thing is, with the left-hand path, you hit a solid wall at seventh density, because you now have to realize everything is self. Whereas the right-hand path doesn't have any walls. Doesn't have any wall. You're expanding your awareness more and more and more to include everything as God. So you don't
mm,
hit that wall. You can just merge effortlessly into the creator at that point.
mm.
So it's
It,
interesting.
it is interesting. I think of that to go back to the initial comment of the neutral place versus the path of devotion. So on this wisdom path, or well, basically uh, identifying with awareness, being aware of awareness, and realizing that all of these things that we think exist, like stand apart in consciousness, we think are separate, whether it's our thoughts or feelings, or even more complex, our identity, like me as a person, all these things extend separate things, seeing that they're all in consciousness, or all these things are in awareness appearing. They're activities, not identities, or even things. Um, that path, for me, I'll get to these places of more neutral, and I feel I guess the feeling sometimes is stuck. I don't feel liberated. I feel stuck. Like here I am, have some sort of awareness of it, but yet I keep on finding myself as a separate being trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
I kind of feel stuck and it feels bad versus the path to devotion, which, hey, how can I be loving and nice today? Just whoever's with me the best I can. That kind of feels good from the beginning. And
I,
it's
I,
a
I think, and I'm just kind of just thinking about it. I think being neutral, I think there's the tendency to start to move into the nothingness aspect of beingness, which I think can leave you stranded, right? Because it's neither the left-hand path nor the right-hand path. So
mhm,
I think what you can hit kind of like the desert in a sense, and just kind of start feeling the nothingness, but not with any real direction of consciousness. So I think it can kind of leave you lost.
mm,
Whereas if you attune to the uh, frequency of love, I think that naturally draws you towards the creator. And that's what you feel when you're practicing that love. You feel the strong pull of that current in a direction that feels like home.
mhm,
Which I think, because if you look at law of one, I think the first manifestation of the infinite creator beyond creation, the void, right? I think the first manifestation is free will, and then the second manifestation is love.
mhm. A lot of confusion.
Yeah, yeah,
Free
yeah,
will.
yeah. Free will, right? Free will. Free will is the first manifestation, because then you have to then begin to choose. You're choosing, right? And then the next step down of the infinite unmanifest creator is love, which is direction.
Mhm,
So I think when you approach this awakening with the frequency of love, I think it's a very strong magnetic pull in the direction of back towards the creator. And you feel that as it just feels um natural and good and positive, and it just I think you're it pulls you in the direction of the creator
mhm,
himself. That's
mhm,
just my gut feeling on it. Whereas if you go straight, you start moving straight into the void, I think it could be very disorienting,
mm.
you know?
Yeah. Well, I have definitely not had the experience or so that I think of making it to the void, but I definitely have been completely disheartened, and it's not the same feeling
Yeah,
as the path of devotion, where
yeah,
I'm just being loving and
yeah,
loving everything as myself, as God. It's a
yeah.
very lovely path.
And I think this is why Baba tends to recommend it. He goes, it's a lot easier, and he says it's a lot safer. Whereas the path of wisdom, of, you could say, exploring the power of the creator, it's really easy to slip and fall a long way. It's like, once again, going back to Star Wars, it's like, or even Lord of the Rings, that one wizard that was uh, Gandalf's superior.
Saruman
Yeah, sorry, Sauron, or whatever the hell his
or
name is, right?
Sauron, yeah.
Yeah, he was very, so you could say he was a wizard of tremendous path of wisdom and power. And then it's like, yeah, this dark forces, they're going to take over, so we might as well just join with them. And what's the problem? Stay on the winning team. And I think that's,
You're gonna die either way, so
yeah, so I think it's very easy when you're just you're exploring the power of the creator devoid of love. It's very easy to make a decision like that. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, you guys are all idiots anyway. You're far better under our command. And if you resist what we're trying to do, well, we'll just wipe you out. What's the problem? Right. So that's why he said the path of the baby monkey. Baby monkey has to hold on to mama. And if he lets go, one mistake, he can fall all the way from the top of the trees down to the floor of the jungle.
Mhm.
Right. So that's, I think, the danger of just pure wisdom is it's very easy to slip and fall a long way. Whereas the path of devotion it just develops love and compassion for others. So even if you know they're stupid, right? Even if you know better for them, you have compassion and mercy and love for them. It's like, yeah, well, I was stupid once too. So let me just try
Mhm.
to help you pass that stage and not take
Mhm.
advantage of you and bend your will and make you do what I want. You have the right to grow at your own speed and make your own mistakes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you can even like me, I have these ideas or hints of or maybe it's clear awareness, I'm not sure, but it's like, okay, well, we're not going anywhere. There really is no path to somewhere else. This is all me and they're all me.
Yeah.
And even right now, this path of devotion actually fits well into that because where am I trying to go anyway? I might as well love, expand
Yeah.
my heart.
Yeah. And just, but I mean, the creator gives you your choice. And that's, I think, what third density classroom is about. Sample both sides, right? I've certainly sampled it. I mean, if you ever been mean to somebody or tried to manipulate somebody
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
well, yeah, that's the dark side. How do you like it? For me, it kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. It's like, nah, I don't really like
Right.
it that much. Okay, well, try doing something loving, kind, without any attachment to praise or any of that. How do you like that? I like that. Yeah, I like that. Okay, well,
Yeah.
do the right hand path.
Yeah.
If you
Like
like, you
that
know,
quote, there's a quote in the in the law of one. They're like, some people like the dark and creepy crawly things. Some
yeah,
of them
yeah,
like the light and
right.
abundant things.
Some like to go to a picnic in the park in
Preferences.
the daytime, and some
Yeah,
like to walk under the moonlight.
that's right.
So it's fine. I mean, you're the creator is giving you the right to choose whatever path you want. That
Yeah,
where you just get in trouble is when you're lukewarm.
yeah.
Then you don't go anywhere.
Then you stay put. You kind of chum for the
Just
for the
repeating,
left hand path side, and
keep repeating third grade for a billion lifetimes.
that's right. Which is fine, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah, well, you have the right to do that too. I mean,
that's right.
that's the beauty of realizing that we're all immortals. We're all pieces of the infinite creator. He said, yeah, go out and live. I'm living it as you, and I'm infinitely curious in all the infinite variations of possibility. I mean,
Yeah,
that's basically the whole thing is that you got a creator that's infinite love and infinitely curious.
yeah,
And as I don't even remember who said it, but it basically said the infinite creators already knows there's everything, already knows it, but he didn't experience it. So he's experiencing it as us. And this is why he doesn't put limitations on it, because I think he's as interested in experiencing the left-hand path as the right-hand path.
right. It's all part of the same
Yeah,
bucket
yeah,
experience.
it makes a much more interesting storyline.
Yeah. And also, I mean, if it's really helpful to get off whatever like hooks and baggages that we have. But I don't remember it was some Indian guru guy, but they did talking about getting increasing in your spiritual evolution or growing spiritually, and like the best way to grow is to be maybe in like battle or some kind of horrific scenario, like the worst horrific scenario you can get yourself in. And then he was talking about finding the peace inside while you had to be in these horrible situations. And it made me think of just catalysts. It's like your
Yeah,
opportunities to forgive
yeah,
coming at you left and right. What a blessing. Wow, what an experience. How'd you get so lucky to have all those opportunities to forgive?
yeah.
So lucky.
Well, I remember I grew up Catholic, and my favorite priests were these old Irish priests that grew up, in the streets, just usually wild men, just slumming around and fighting and whoring and all that stuff. And then they found God, and they'd been through a lot. So, when they would speak from wisdom. Right? They would speak from wisdom. It's like, yeah, there's all that, but it's just not going to work out very well. It's here's
That's right. They're
and
like,
then
yeah, I tried that. All right,
and then
go knock
when
yourself
there
out.
was less and less priests were importing from Ireland, we were getting a lot of little wet behind the ears, snot-nosed American kids that were straight from high school into the seminary and then became priests. They don't know anything about life. And here they're going to be counseling married people. It's like, dude, you know nothing. And it just started to annoy the hell out of me. It's like, come on. Because I was spoiled by having these old Irish priests that just had lived life,
Yeah.
and had a lot of wisdom. So it's the same thing. I think uh, it's in living life that you can grow in your wisdom, and my teacher would say, he says, life is about acting, then judging the results of your action.
Hmm.
By acting, that includes thinking and doing. He says, yeah, God gives you the right, try it. But if you stick your finger on the hot stove, you're going to get burned. I mean, there's cause and effect in play, but you learn not to touch the stove. You can express that from firsthand experience, right? So he says it's about acting, but judging the results of the action. Yeah, give it a try. Give it a try. What do you want to? What do you just? If you really want to do it, do it. Cause and effect. You're responsible for it, but you can find out. Yeah, that's not as great as you thought it was.
Right. Never is.
Yeah, well, never is. But I mean, it's one thing you're a kid and people tell you, no, well, listen, that's going to be a heartache, and that's going to be. It's like, yeah, what do you know? Right? 40 years later, it's like, yeah, what's that saying? A word to the wise is sufficient, right? So if
Hmm.
you're wise enough to be able to listen to a wise person, you don't have to burn your hand on every stove in town,
Hmm.
right? You can burn your hand once or not even burn it at all. You just say, well, that really wise guy told me that I'll burn my hand if I touch the stove. I believe him, so I'm just going to not touch the hot stove.
I don't know. I hear burning your hands are a wonderful experience. You got to
Yeah,
try it once.
you'd think. Yeah. So I mean, but that's it. But that's the beauty of the creator. He's gonna love us no matter what,
Yeah.
right? Is
Thank
this
God.
this concept of permanent hell is to me just propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's cause and effect, and there's the judgment of yourself, right?
Yeah.
But the loving creator doesn't. It didn't create a hell that he stuffs people in for eternity because they stepped out of line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Well, I don't know. Does that
good
answer your
stuff.
question? It's 29 minutes.
Yeah, that was wonderful. It was a little long, but
It always is.
uh,
Yeah.
uh,
But
but
that's why I think neutral has its hazards. I think it's much safer just developing a loving heart, at least somewhat. You may not be able to generate a lot of love, but just work on it a little bit. To me, what help develop more than anything else is to just spend a little time every day and look around and just say, this is all God. It's all God.
yeah,
If you love God, then these are all manifestations of I say my beloved, right? Of my beloved creator. These are all. And even
mhm,
even the unsavory bits that you judge unworthy, right? It's still needed, still needed to we got a movie production we're putting on here. We need
Mm,
people to play the bad guy. You don't want to do it because you don't like to look bad. Well, then don't be ungrateful for those that are willing to play the role.
all right. That can't be good without bad.
Yeah, and this is what my teacher would say. He goes, don't hate me when I come to you as an enemy. He said, I'm paying a very heavy price to bring you that lesson.
Hmm.
And that's just a completely different way of looking at it than most of us. We want all the bad guys to disappear, right?
It seems like to me it requires some intentionality to to have that kind of lifestyle. Like for example, for me, I'll get up in the morning and I'll do some sort of devotion or maybe meditate or something like that, and I'm able to be more loving and more forgiving and more open and gracious. And then, for example, if I just get up, let's say I get up and I just go straight and make, help my kids get ready. It's run and get some
Yeah.
food and put out clothes and run and try to get in the car and then,
Well, it's learning to dial in your favorite radio station.
hmm
Right? A lot of times that radio just gets dialed by the world, right? So spiritual practices are you tune your own radio, choose the station you want to tune it to, and then practice bringing it back to that station over and over and over enough that finally it just kind of locks into that station. You don't have to
hmm
dial it in anymore. And that's
my,
that's the whole purpose of.
my channel lock's a little loose right still.
Yeah, well, most of us are, or maybe it holds a little bit, but you hit a bump in the road and the station just flips off to
That dial just turns, man.
usually to the left, it turns to the left,
That's right.
right? But it's learning to deliberately choose the station you wish to receive the music from. And
Hmm.
then if it's a little loose, if the dial's a little loose, tune it in several times a day. I mean, you look
Yeah,
at the spiritual practices where I forgot with Islam, is it 3 times a day or 6 times a day?
I don't remember.
Yeah, but I mean
Yeah,
that's a lot of the classic
yeah.
spiritual practices is like
Get
three.
down, interrupt, get on your knees, dial
Yeah,
down.
yes,
That's wonderful.
if you're doing it right, you're retuning the radio to the right station. If you're not doing it right, you're just going through the motions to
Yeah.
impress everybody else, which is
Hmm.
human tendency.
Hmm.
But once you
Right.
understand the concept, then when you notice, let's just say your favorite radio station is country western, and you're starting to hear rap, it's like, okay, my the the knob slid a little bit.
Right.
Let me tune it back to country western again, right?
Right.
So that's turning within and being aware that if you're feeling that peace, love, and joy, and if you're not, take a moment, retune it. One of the most powerful ways to retune it is I'm God, I'm no different from God, or I'm infinite love. Having human experience. Those are all ways of tuning the dial back to your station of choice,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
that's it. And you do it frequently enough, it just starts becoming default on your radio. You got to hit a harder and harder bump to knock it off the station.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
just make you just make all that up?
I did. I just made all that up.
Brilliant.
It was brilliant.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for your time once again, David.
Thank you. And if for the 3 people that are actually listening,
Say
if you
thank you.
have some questions, you just put it in the comments, and maybe we'll read it and answer.
If we have time to get to all the questions,
Right.
we'll talk about them.
Right. But if you have any questions, it could just be the ones that are best are just simple ones of how not to punch your boss in the face,
Mm,
how to have a better relationship with your spouse. I mean, this to me, spirituality that counts is where the rubber hits the road in how do you make your daily life better? And
mhm,
those are the questions that I think are the important ones, because all the rest, otherwise it can just be some intellectual exercise and
mhm,
still being an idiot. You
mhm.
sound awful smart, but your wife hates you, kids can't stand you, you don't
That's
like
right.
it. right?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right, brother. Thank you again.
Thank you.